yeah, hyperspace.
Scan the QR code, it will take you to our newsletter that's absolutely free to join. It's to bring people into the community and shed a little light on the magic world of animatronics for theme park entertainment. Of course, we Grogu being the highlight.
I love you. I do. You know I do.
Hi, Grogu. What's up, dude? You're so cool. I finally met him.
Oh, this is great.
Hello, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Alan Scott, co-founder of Legacy Effects.
Hi,
And
Alan.
I'm here today with Pete Clark and Tamara Carlson Woodard and our friend, the Loth Cat. Today we're going to talk about how we created this little character for Ahsoka. So we figure out how big it's going to be, and then our digital team in this case, they start digitally sculpting the character and breaking down how we're going to create the parts. And in this case, we did a lot of 3D printing for the cores and the mechanisms. That's Jason, one of our lead artists, and he's sculpting the skin and the face. Ben previously was sculpting digitally the paws. And then in between that, once we have a size approved, tomorrow we'll go in and start fabricating the body. There she is right there. You want to talk about that?
This is an example of me patterning out the body and all the muscle parts that are going to move in between the mechanical parts that Pete designed. He has a hard chest because he has a breathing mechanism, and a lot of the servos had to go in there. And so that's what you see me starting to cover so that I can attach things to. And you can see beanbags, and that's a neck and a beanbag chest, because it's got a lot of hard parts in there, but it still needs to move and be fluid like a gushy cat. Or a bushy animal, so that's what you're seeing there are bean bags done in a baffle system so that it always keeps the cat's shape and all the beans don't just lean to one side or anything like that. So that's the part that I get to do while Pete is doing his magic.
Yeah, Tamara has the unique opportunity to take what is basically a robotic puppet with hard joints, just like bones, and then use soft construction to flesh it out and give it nice fluid movement so that this is a rod puppet in this case, but it's like you have to break that, what looks like a mechanical puppet, and create smooth transitions so that it looks realistic. Pete is engineering the animatronics.
There are probably about 20 to 25 motors inside this little guy to move
Wow.
his face around and all his features and ears and mouth and I just start with the sculpture and start breaking it up and figuring out which way would make it move the coolest and give it the most personality.
Yeah, we end up with a move list, the basic functions: eyes, brows, lips. In this case, it's montrals or ear-like structures. And then we decide, we have conversations, how much is going to be servo-controlled and how much is going to be rod puppeted. And then Pete is designing almost exclusively in 3D now. So some of the previous characters that we showed you were done old school with fiberglass shells, but in this case you can see on the screen that says it's entirely 3D printed underskull. All the parts Pete works inside this sculpture that's a digital scan of the sculpture that Jason had just done. So what's nice about that process is that we can be working simultaneously. We can scan that as soon as it's roughed in, and we put eyes in there, and then Pete can start engineering the eyes and where they're going to fit in the limited space that he's given inside the head. We like to give direct drive as much as possible. This has a foam skin that is flocked, but sometimes we'll have to do cable remote if there's too many moves and too many functions to fit in a head. Then sometimes we'll have to remote it. We'll put those in the body, or if there's even more that we want, then they'll go outside the body. Some bigger, stronger servos, and there'll be cable control from the servo to the access point that we want to control. Once we've sculpted and molded the pieces that we need to, which in this case is the head and the feet, then there will be a skin run, a foam latex skin, and then we will flock that, which is a process of applying very fine hairs over the whole surface. And then you'll see Connie, one of our hair specialists, after we've done all that flocking, then she will go in and punch all these hairs in one at a time to give it this fluffy facial look.
The fun fact about the cat, you see the whiskers here are actually whiskers from mine and my husband's actual cat. Whenever they shed them and I find them, I keep them. And so these are Ginsu's whiskers.
Ginsu!
I like to give it that little touch of realism.
Yeah, we push for realism wherever we can, and the details in the sculptures, because ultimately this is a fantastical creature, and how it's executed will eventually give itself away, whether it be like herky-jerky movements that people aren't familiar with, but something like this, people are intimately familiar with cats and dogs, and they're used to seeing them very up close. So we want to create that same type of feeling for Sabine. This is her pet. So there's a very intimate relationship that they have. And so we feed on your relationship with a cat or our relationship with our pets. And then we put that same type of performance into a puppet. And then once we have put all the pieces together, then we just start rehearsing and playing and practicing. We have very specific motions that were scripted, and then there's other things that we're just going to ad-lib on set. Things that we find, the happy accidents of, oh, that looks cool, let's move that. And then we get a small team of puppeteers together that start practicing. And we use the analogy of, we've built this amazing piece of equipment, it's like a musical instrument, and now our job is to tune it so the eyes move just enough, they blink, and then we have to learn how to play it. So that's where rehearsals and practices come in, and you start seeing like what's interesting, what works with this, what starts to look realistic. And the team starts to have, right now there's only 3 of us operating this, but there may be 2 or 3 more people that would operate the legs and the body and the tail to create a performance where it needs to move or jump and create more life than we're able to give with just the 3 of us here. So it becomes a little bit of a band. You practice and rehearse, and you start to intuitively feel what we're gonna bring to the table. Like, one thing that we try and do is like you lead with the eyes, and it's like when characters perform or people, they look with their eyes and they follow with their head, and eventually they follow with their body. So that's one rule that we kind of look at, is like look to the left, and then the head looks to the left. I'm going to look to the right, and then the eyes lead and the head follows. They just asked if we still puppeteer with these metal rods, and we do. It used to be that we used to have to hide. We'd have sticks and rods sticking out of the puppets, and we'd have to get out of the shot because they didn't know how to remove us. But with digital effects being so much more advanced, is that we can be right next to the puppet, and they will remove the rod, and they will remove the puppeteer. So this is how we would do it, because this proximity and being this close to it is, you get a fluidity that you can't get when you get 3 feet away. The further you get away, the performance starts to suffer. So we'll try not to be this close, because there's shadows when we stand over the puppet that we don't want, because they're hard to remove. So we try and stand off to the left, off to the right. If we have to be behind them, we'll put us in green screen suits or gray suits, and then they'll remove us in post. But yeah, this is the beauty of digital effects helping puppeteering, because we used to get, we'd have to hide behind this box and like peek around a corner, and it would be really not the best performance. So now we can give a performance that's very nuanced and very subtle and right there. And then I'm not going to say it's easy because I don't have to do it, but they can remove us in post fairly efficiently. And then that maximizes our performance and our ability to control things. So.
Bye, kitty.